It's about the greatest Christmas gift of all time.
Oh, okay.
The greatest gift of all I got when I was 9. That's how the original song went.
This is going to be sad to my parents who listen to this podcast.
Can you not think of a greatest gift of all?
Well, I can remember specific Christmas gifts.
Yeah.
I don't know that I ever had the feeling of like, this is the best Christmas ever.
Yeah, sure.
But I also didn't get super into video games or
That's
anything
it.
like
You
that.
got to be in the video games.
Yeah.
And speaking of, I want to take you all the way back to Christmas 1996.
Okay.
Hop in my ship. Hop in my magic time shed.
Beep, boop, 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 boop.
That's not how the time shed works. It uses gears. It's steampunk inspired. And you know that. Look around the time shed. Do you see any buttons? It's little brass levers.
I don't know how to make lever noises.
Well, try it now.
Shrope. Shrope. Shrope.
Gotta oil this thing. Hold on. Let me put some WD-40 in there. All right, try it again.
Shrope.
Oh, now that's a lever if I've ever heard one. No, don't pump it twice. It's a dinosaur, baby. Run. Take this bazooka. Okay. Okay, now we're in Christmas 1996. It's Christmas 1996. Jingle All the Way is killing it in theaters. So is Jerry Maguire and Scream, both reigning supreme.
I
December
believe
1996.
Backstreet Boys and NSYNC were battling it out
I don't know if that's true.
on the music charts.
Well, no, there was no battle to be had because the Spice Girls were on top of all shit. I was 9 years old, and the Nintendo 64 had just come out in September. It launched with just 2 games, but those games were Pilot Wing 64 and Super Mario 64. So what else do you fucking need? With those 2 diamonds
What
shining.
is Pilot Wing?
Oh, no! Pilot Wings is great. It's like a game where you do a bunch of sort of aerial sports. So there's like a hang gliding little game and a helicopter game and a plane flying game, and you do stunts and stuff. Pilot Wings also had one where you had these just super jump boots and you jumped across like a very miniaturized version of America.
Can I ask you another question? I know you haven't even gotten to what you were going to say yet.
Yup.
All the McElroy boys liked video games.
True.
How did your parents pick which boy got which present since you all were going to play it?
No, we all had distinctive tastes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think we all had different.
So not everybody wanted this Nintendo 64?
Oh no, we all wanted it, and it was very much a group. Like,
Oh, okay.
This is for the good boys. It launched with 2 games, but a bunch more games came out in the months following. And that holiday season, the Nintendo 64 was impossible to find. It was impossible to find. I think it was either 200 or 300,000 units for the whole country, which is
Oh my gosh.
nothing. And I remember it was like full blown. It's appropriate that Jingle All the Way was in theaters because it was full fucking Turbo Man up in there. I remember a lot of our local like game stores because I had my ear to the ground, my finger to the pulse, like checking the Vegas odds on whether or not we were going to get an N64 for Christmas. A bunch of our local shops were doing like lotteries for sales. It was preposterously scarce. But it was all we wanted. Like, all that we wanted was the Nintendo 64. So Christmas rolled around. Christmas morning, we opened up present after present. None of the presents were Nintendo 64. Our parents did a full-blown Christmas story. I think there's one more present behind the entertainment center.
I love
it out.
The flair for the dramatic in your house.
I watch the Nintendo 64 kids viral video. You know that one where they open it up and they're like, Nintendo 64!
No, I don't.
Oh, shit. It's a part of the cultural landscape. It's just 2 kids opening up a Nintendo 64 and just like losing their fucking minds. And it's a big viral video. And like now it's like 20 years later, where are those kids today? And I watch that video and I think like, God, I'm glad my parents weren't filming us because it would have literally been us. We destroyed the house. We were so psyched because we had given up hope. We had essentially given up hope that we were going to get an N64. But there was one caveat, and that is that it wasn't just the console that was very hard to find. The games,
Oh no.
which were cartridge-based, which was a big point of contention because the PlayStation, which had come out a year before, was disc-based, and it was like, oh, video games have to be on discs now. And Nintendo was like, no, you think you got this thing cracked. It's definitely going to be cartridges.
We need something for you to blow on.
Yes, you just shouldn't do that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
You introduce moisture to the contacts.
Oh, okay.
What you really are doing when you take it out and blow on it, all you're doing is just, when you take it out and put it back in, you're reseating the contacts. It's those metal contacts. That's what they did. When you blow into it, you can rust it with your moisture. Your horrible moisture.
Your brain is so big.
So The games were very hard to find. They were also really expensive. The standard price of a Nintendo 64 game back then was $70.
Oh my gosh.
The standard MSRP on like a new AAA game that comes out these days is like $60. But some of them were $70. Most of them were $70.
$70 in the mid 90s is like $150 today.
Yes, it's preposterously expensive. Turok the Dinosaur Hunter was like this big like 3D shooter. It was $80.
Oh my gosh.
It is wild. And so my parents, they filled our dark Nintendo 64 needs, but they only found one game for us to play. And that game was Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey.
Oh, I love this so much.
And I know you're wondering, did they buy this for us because we were particularly huge hockey fans? No.
For Sega, I had NHL 96.
NHL 96 was the best one.
Oh, okay.
That's a good hockey game.
What was Wayne Gretzky's game? Was it just all Gretzky in every position?
Yeah, it was just a bunch of Gretzky clones. No, it was just like a 3D hockey game. Where like a lot of those like early Nintendo 64 games, you play them now and it's like, yo. But you played them back then and it was like, oh, okay, these are 3D graphics. I've never seen these before.
I wish we should have brought your dad on so he could do a little director's commentary on this episode.
I mean, I can explain it. We found a Nintendo 64 and it was super hard to find that.
Do you know how we found it?
There were no games available, and so we bought the only game that was available so you guys would have something to play, and it was Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey. And let me tell you something, we played the fucking shit out of Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey. We played it like wild. Eventually, a couple weeks later, we found Shadows of the Empire, which was the big Star Wars shooter, which was very exciting. Not like a huge game. We probably beat it like 50 times in the next month or so, because it was like, again, that and Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey were the only games that we had. I think it wasn't until like February that we actually found a copy of Mario, which if memory serves, we were on a wait list to rent it at Blockbuster. That is how scarce these games were.
My gosh.
But we got it and we checked it out for
a simpler time.
A very, very, very long time. But like all that is said, I was so appreciative back then, right? We had given up hope that we were going to get this mythical Uber present, that we were never going to get it because it was so rare and there were not that many. But we were so grateful to get it, even with our one sort of weird choice of a game. And today I am grateful because I cannot imagine the lengths that my parents went through.
Oh my gosh, I am picturing your dad driving across state lines.
Fighting Sinbad the whole way. Because like since I've gotten old enough to like do my own Christmas
That's a Jingle
shopping,
All the Way reference.
Yeah.
Just so you all don't think the McElroys
my dad actually does have a long-standing beef with Sinbad. Since we've been like doing our own Christmas presents and buying them for everybody, especially as our family's gotten larger, like I understand what an ordeal it can be to secure everything that people need.
I don't think we do though. I think with Amazon,
it's definitely a lot easier.
Yeah.
I've never attempted to do something like this because it's work. It's a full-time job to find the Turbo Man.
We've never had to drive from store to store to track something down.
But I know that's what my parents did, and they did it so that we would be happy and we would have this crystalline moment of like childhood joy.
Oh my gosh!
And like, hey, mission accomplished. I'm talking about it on a podcast about things that I love.
Yeah.
Fucking 21 years later.
And that's what they hoped, I'm sure. They were like, one day, 20 years
It's probably
from now.
not what they hoped, but I loved it back then, and today I see it as like a story of like my parents just trying to do something very nice and very difficult for their kids.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Even though we played the most hockey we would ever play in our entire lives during those few weeks with the Nintendo 64.
And that explains why you love hockey so much today.
Nope.